Hello, hello, Shagathano here. Welcome to another coding stream here on the 24th of August 2022, local time 1740. It's been a week since the last time, but last time we were building this alarm thingy, as I affectionately call it, in Rust. And I got to a point where I was at a little bit of an impasse, deciding the next thing that I wanted to do, basically to make it a little bit more robust, if you will. So we got to that point and I kind of called it because it was also running a bit late for me. So I haven't actually touched it since then. And, I thought, okay, let's get back to it today. Let's see what I can come up with. I took a couple notes last time though, but I haven't really thought about it too much since then. So we'll see what I can do today. Be a bit of like architecting, I guess you can call it. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Looks like everything's working. Had a hiccup getting started here, but it seems like we're good now. First time I tried to start this up, it just failed to connect to Twitch. So what we have right now basically is, just to quickly run over what's here, is we got a logger. It does logging things. We pull in a config YAML file and we deserialize that. If it fails, we do a default. I'm gonna do an additional thing to make sure the file exists. That's for later. For each alarm, I check to make sure that the sound file is a file. I should probably also check that it's a correct extension. So we'll loop that in here. And then I just log the config so I can see it because that's fun. And we get the current time and we log that. So we have the worker loop basically. And in that worker loop, we want to update the current time and then check all the alarms to see if they need to fire and then wait 1 second. That's all we're doing. The alarms themselves are configured by a struct, an alarm struct, where we have the path to the sound, a target time, and a repeat cycle, which I might rename that. I might, change some things around. So the repeat cycle is just an enum, which defines, how often we're going to do this. So this is going to be like a living config where an alarm that should not repeat should also be removed from the config after it fires and it's done being snoozed and all that. So there's a lot of stuff to do there. I left some notes from last time to basically say that what we need here is, okay, so let me also just note what was going on is basically, right now it's a very naive approach. If now is greater than the alarm target time, play the sound. But the thing is, that's going to play every second. That's not good. So we need a way to play the alarm, know that it's playing or know that it has played and not keep playing it. So that to me is a lot like state, which I think can be managed with like an enum or something. So we'll look into that. Yeah, I was going to say maybe option and we'll think about it. So basically, alarms have a state, like an active alarm. This is almost going to be like a state machine maybe, because an active alarm can either go to stop or snooze. Those are the two valid transitions. I guess you could take that alarm, that state from. Snooze could go to, or wait, I don't know if an active can go to stop or snooze. I feel like I just said something else. A snoozed alarm could go to stopped or reactivate. So it's a bit like a state machine, basically. And I didn't really come to that conclusion last time, or even when I thought about it after the stream until just now. So that's good. After an alarm is stopped or snoozed, we need to probably update the target. This may just change how I store the target. But the way I'm thinking about it right now, set target to next valid time. Meaning if it's every day at a certain time, we just update the target to be the next day at that time, for instance. Or if it's every 3 hours, we set the target for 3 hours from then. So there may be some interesting things I can do with that. because that also, like, you get into a weird state there where if you want it to be every day at 10 o'clock, that's great. You don't want it to be, you know, if you snooze the alarm for 10 minutes, you don't want it to be, well, now it's going to go tomorrow at 10:15. Or if I wait 5 minutes before I dismiss it, I don't want it to be 10:05 the next day. So we have to think about how we want to update the target, update the next time, because that could lead to some weirdness. So that's a thought. Target time should probably be changed to option only used for repeat cycle. So the idea here is, yeah, let's see. Only be used for those repeat cycles in need of it. I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking with that. So I'll revisit that in a bit. It might, you know, ring a bell in a little bit. So the, yeah, for repeat cycles in need, that need timed repetition, you must retain information of the last time it was activated or stopped. Yeah, so that's fine. So then, yeah, this is the big question that I was going to address, is how do we not call the same alarm again? Checking now is greater than target time doesn't really work because you're going to keep hitting it every second. So that doesn't make sense. You don't want to keep reactivating it over and over. Proximity to target time is naive. That's not a good solution, right? Was it close enough to it? No, you don't want to do that. Is it within 1 second? No, that's terrible. So we don't want to do that. So my idea that I was kind of coming to right at the end of the last time I was messing with this was state, like a state enum basically. And so here's what I left it with is we have like active, snoozed, and stopped. And again, we almost want to think of this as a as like a state machine. I'm gonna say new fields. We almost want to think of it as like a state machine and think about the different transitions that the states can go between. So an active alarm can go to snoozed or stopped. And both of those, snoozed can go back to active or to stopped. You can just say, no, I'm snoozed, but I don't want it to re-trigger. Let's just go ahead and stop it. Let's see, when it's active, if it goes to stopped, I'm thinking there might be another state for like an alarm that's primed or something, alarm that's ready to go, and maybe even a state to represent how we deal with the alarm after we disable it. So if there's a no repeat alarm, like I just need a one-time thing, dude. I put some laundry in and I don't want to forget about it or something. I want a one-time alarm for, 45 minutes from now or something. We want to be able to delete that alarm when it's over. So there's a couple ways to do that because we're going to end up doing a match on this enum anyway. So maybe we can handle it there, but that's something to think about. So anyway, that's a lot of stuff on my mind. So the first thing I want to do is address the easiest thing, these new fields. New fields, my idea here was I'm going to do name and description. Now the idea is that I could build a GUI at some point too, so that's going to be helpful. But also I had an idea of like a Windows notification bubble popping up, and you could put like the name and or description or something in that bubble. So I think I'd like to go ahead and add those two fields. That's obviously really easy. I don't think, it's not a big deal. So we're going to say name. And again, you'd call this laundry or something. And I might make the description optional. Maybe you don't want to put anything there. So we'll say name, string. We do need names. And description is option string. So, you might not want to put a full ass description there, but we at least want a name so we can identify what alarm is what. If you've got like a wake up alarm, I don't know, like if I'm a software engineer, so like daily stand up, you don't want to forget about your daily stand up or something. You might, you can have different names for each alarm. So that's the idea there. That does, however, mean that I'm going to have to go in and name all of these. So we're going to say If it's just a string, yeah, we don't actually, it's YAML, so we don't actually need to put like quotes, do we? I don't know YAML that well. And already the word alarm is starting to lose meaning. Or seeing the word alarm written out just looks broken to me. So we're gonna say alarm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh, and we need a 7. Just simple, easy. I don't feel like messing with it. Although all the target times are from a week ago. So what I probably want to do, it doesn't matter yet. I'm not going to worry about it yet. So do cargo run and see if that makes it happy. Oh yeah. It started playing noise already. So yeah, it's good. I know that noise probably wasn't captured. Maybe it was actually. I didn't notice. Do that. Now it should be captured. Okay. Interestingly, that worked a moment ago. Now it played a different sound. Now when I'm capturing, I think there's still something to look into with that. Yeah, I think there's still going to be something to look into with why it just plays that ding sound sometimes. That's not the intended sound. It could, again, it may very well be a Windows API issue, so I'm going to have to look more into that. Basically, the one thing I left out in the overview today is this play sound function. It's using the Windows API, which does almost always mean unsafe. So the play sound A function from the Windows API is an unsafe function. Basically, I'm going to call that, and I'm going to try to handle that as safely as possible. So we get the result back from it. And if the result is good, we just spit back an okay. Otherwise, we spit back an error that says, hey, we failed to play the sound. Let's try to get some info back from it. But there's not a lot we can do. I can't help but wonder if... No, maybe not. I'll consider that more. The fact that it's trying to play a sound at all right now is good enough for me to keep progressing with the logic here. To me, the logic right now is more important than Windows API, but I'll say check for funkiness. So what I want to do is, yeah, okay, it looks like we're deserializing correctly. We have name alarm 7, and it is going and grabbing that alarm sound that we expect to see. So I'm happy with all that. I can't really complain there. So the next thing I want to do is, again, this idea of state. So let's go ahead and make a state enum. I'm going to copy this and we'll work with it. So let's think about state. Okay, and just like that. Can I put this here? And yeah, it'll be happy. Then I can format it. Boom. Okay, so an active alarm obviously means it's currently running. I think we know what a snoozed alarm and a stopped alarm is. The question I have right now for myself is, I think I do want to have like a primed state, and I'm thinking about how to differentiate stopped and primed. So primed essentially means this alarm is ready to go, and what that does is that means that we know it has, like, let's just say a valid target, and we can kind of use that in our worker loop here. We only care about alarms that are primed. If an alarm, or snoozed, which is like a variant of primed. So we only care about alarms in 2 states if we're going to actually trigger them. So, and then other alarms, like, we handle differently. So I think I will probably add that. So I don't know if I want to pack any data into these yet. I can't think of anything great that I would do with that. So let's go ahead and add a... Let's go ahead and add a state to that. And I have to go back in here and do the same kind of thing as I just did. The order shouldn't matter, right? Let's see, name, alarm sound, target time, repeat cycle. Name, alarm sound. They are going in a specific order. I don't know if YAML cares or not. We'll do it in this order though. And for all of them right now, I'm gonna say stopped because I'm lazy, and I'll work with them individually, or I might prime one of them. I'll prime one of them. Okay. And we'll say for this alarm here, primed. Okay. And yeah, whatever. I'll think about all that in a bit. Okay. So now, just had another idea. Back in this, I wonder if I should pack in a total number. That might be a feature. So add total. So like, what if you want to do, if you use Outlook to book like a recurring meeting, it'll be like, do this for the next 20 weeks. And it just stops at that point. 0 or infinite. I think I would go with that because we already have a no repeat here. So maybe, so the idea is, let me get a tab there. That's a terrible tab. There we go. Example, and I would basically say, I don't know, it doesn't matter. U16. That's more than enough repeats for anyone, basically. So weekly U16, and then we would say, this repeats for the next 12 weeks. That's the idea there. So that would be like a feature. I mean, I could go ahead and put that now, but I don't think that'll be bad to add later. I keep like piling on more and more, and I need to make progress on individual ideas. That's why I'm leaving to-dos. I need to make progress on individual ideas and not get distracted. But it's a thing that came to mind as I was looking at this. So basically we have different states here. And the first thing I can do that's very easy is incorporate this state into my worker loop where I'm activating the alarms. So what I would do here is I would come down to the worker loop and I would say for alarm in alarm config.alarms, so that's all the alarms. Oh, actually, let me add one more thing. Snoozed actually should take a value, and it's going to be, I don't know, U16. Just put a U16 for, put a U32 for now. I'll work with it, but basically that's going to be a customizable value, so we can use snoozed. We could pack that value into the enum to say, oh, this is how long we want to wait for to bring the alarm back. So let's get back to the worker loop. See, I had that to do there, which reminded me of it. That's why I put them there. So what I want to do is basically only look at alarms that are in the what was it, primed or snooze state. Those are the only ones that we may want to activate. So there's a couple ways I could go about this. For one, we could just run this iterator all the way through here and check, like put a conditional or a match for the states. And that may be what I want to do, because there is going to be stuff I have to do for a stopped alarm. There's going to be stuff that I have to do for an alarm that's active. Did I call it active? Yeah, active primed. Okay. Actually, I could just, yeah, I could do a match in here. So there's going to be stuff that I have to do for every state. So it could actually make sense to just do that on the iterator here. But for fun, let me show another thing real quick, just in case anybody is watching this that doesn't know about some of these other things you could do. We'll say alarm config dot iter dot, and you could, dot alarms. Okay, so alarm config has a list of a vector of alarms in it, and then we're going to get an iterator over that. And we have some cool functions like filter. There's also filter map. They're similar but different in very powerful ways. So filter will basically allow you to use a closure to look at some Boolean value, and some value which returns true or false. And that basically allows you to do exactly as it says and filter things out of your collection, of your iterator. So if I say filter alarm, now this is, again, if you don't know how to do this, then this may be weird syntax, but I'm just gonna go over it as I do this because it's cool stuff. So filter, it takes in a closure, and it's all this weird syntax that you see up here if you've never used closures. But you can almost think of a closure as a bit like a little anonymous function. It's kind of like Lambda functions in other languages. So it's that idea of like this little anonymous function here, basically, and it has the concept of being able to capture state. We're not really going to have to worry too much about that here. But what we're wanting to do here is, since we're filtering, given an element, the closure must return true or false. So in these horizontal bars here for alarm, in these or around alarm, in these horizontal bars, this is just the name of a variable. By the way, I could call it A. I could call it anything, right? It's just a name. But that's what we're basically passing in, and this represents a single element from the iterator, which in this case is a vector of alarms. So that's cool. What is the... Hang on. Let me check one thing up here. Where's my config? Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, okay. So that's a vector of alarms, and so this basically means we're going to do this for every alarm. It's a bit like a for each, except we need to return a true or false. So I'm going to say alarm dot state, and then we could say equal state active. It's a capital too, isn't it? Yeah. So basically, this is saying only give me the alarms which are in the active state, right? I could replace this with snoozed. Only give me alarms, and why is this mad? I think I might need to do that. We'll switch that. I don't know the syntax for that right now, but we'll say stopped. Only give me alarms which are stopped, right? So that allows us to do a filter on that. And then we could go in and do a map on that, which works very similar. It takes another closure. And what we know now is that anything that this map gets is going to be an alarm that's in the stopped state, because we've already filtered and said only give me alarms that are stopped. Right now I could say not equal and get alarms that are in any other state than stopped, right? I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. So then whatever I do in this map would be essentially the only operating on stopped alarms. Now, I mentioned a minute ago there is something else called a filter map. And if you want to take a wild guess, it does both. Creates an iterator that both filters and maps. The return iterator yields only values for which the supply closure returns some value. So basically you do some work inside of the filter map, and then you return a sum or a none, and that's basically how it works. So the examples here are pretty basic. And I'm zoomed in so far, and I know I'm partially covering this. But basically this thing here tries to... Damn it, I can't show it. There it is. This thing here, all they do is do an s.parse and check if it's okay. That's basically all they do there. Crap, I misclicked. It's hard to get that without me blocking it. That's the problem. Turn the camera off. I might want to hold off on doing that. Had some problems with that recently. So this other one here, s.parse.filter, and then they're checking if it's okay, and they're mapping, and they're unwrapping. So they're doing a bunch of stuff there in the filter and the map, where they can kind of condense it down to just the .ok in the filter map. So it may not be the best explanation, but I mean, that's the idea. We could do that. We could filter and only operate on specific alarms that we know we want to operate on. And that may be fine. That may be what we want to do. But I don't think I want to do that, because I know I'm going to do stuff for every single state in here. So it probably makes sense to look at every single alarm. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a match alarm.state. And I'm going to get it to fill in some match arms. And now this to do doesn't matter anymore, because this was basically like, how do I get this logic in? Well, the logic is now built into my states here, right? This enum is my logic of you know, when do I activate the alarm? And in this case, the idea is that it's only when an alarm is primed, when it's ready to go. So that's the idea. So in this case, if an alarm is primed, we'll run some code in here, and I think it's just going to be that. Yep. Okay, so that's really it. If the alarm is primed, then, well, it's not really it. There's one more thing, but if an alarm is primed, and I need to do something just to preempt it, it's going to be an iter_mute. And yeah, we need to make the config mutable now, so we need to go up here. I'll explain why I'm doing that in just a moment if you haven't already realized. Let mute alarm config. So we are going to be modifying the config basically in real time, or elements of the config, I should say. So because the alarms, it's part of that config, we're not allowed to mutably borrow this without making the whole thing mutable. There may be some interior mutability stuff we could do, but that's not needed. That's not important. So yeah, so basically if the alarm should happen, if now is greater than the target time, alarm is happening, play the sound, and one more thing, alarm.state equal active. So we've now updated the state so that the alarm is active, and we're not going to trigger this a second time. So if we put a 10-minute song on here, that song's going to be allowed to play, the alarm's going to stay in the active state. Well, now the program's going to crash because to do panics, but the alarm will stay in the active state until we do something to move us to snoozed or stopped. So that's the idea. So if we do cargo run, we'll crash immediately. And that is because if we see down here, 169.35, that's not right. Well, okay. It was right there on screen. Why did it do that? I don't know if I believe 169. Oh, no, I do. I do believe it, because most of these alarms are in the stopped state right now. So I do believe that. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to do nothing. Nope, not print line. We'll do info. Actually, even better. And then we're going to get alarm.name. That way we know what's stopped, what's started, etc. All right. And then I could put another log in here, like do it else, and basically say, like no change. That's gonna really pollute the, I mean, even this one here is gonna really pollute the console, so I'm not gonna do that. But if we take a look now, we'll crash on active. That's what I expect. Oh, it was playing the correct sound that time. Interesting. Let me get a drink of water here. Delicious. Okay, so it's playing the correct sound, at least it tried to, but things failed too quickly. So there's some interesting questions to be had about how this play sound async works. Because we're supposedly doing this with the asynchronous flag, but when the main thread died, the sound also stopped. Or did it? I mean, it died so quickly. I mean, we could see here the timestamps. We go from 23, 11, 05, 809 to 819, 820. Also, those times are weird. It's not, yeah, it's that's you. Is it UTC? I think so. Or GMT. That's 5 hours ahead of me, so I think that's GMT. But yeah, that, I mean, we could see here that we're talking very small units of time passing between these. I mean, this was on 819, 819, 820, 820, 820, 820. These are like instantaneous, basically. I mean, the resolution of the timestamps here are not enough to actually see the difference between some of these. So I don't think the this 809 here to 820 is not enough time to for that sound to have played for as long as it did. So there's something weird going on with that, if I make sense on that kind of rambling. So yeah, we got exactly what I expected, right? We're on line 159 failing. So line 159 on active, and it's exactly what I expected, because what happened is we now have code in here for what happens when an alarm is stopped. Because again, the to-do macro, in big letters there, it panics. So we know the to-do macro is dangerous. Not dangerous, but we know it panics, it crashes your code. That's what it's supposed to do. So we should expect that to happen when we hit active. And in this case, we play the alarm and we go to the active state, and boom, now something hits this to-do code. Nothing has had a chance to snooze yet. So we definitely won't hit snooze. But yeah, I mean, that's like exactly what we should expect. And if I were to put some code in here, now if I do this, nothing should hit the snooze state at all. So we're good. Now, there is a question to be had here, and that is whether or not we should replay the sound, because what does it mean for an alarm to be active if the sound only plays one time? If you fall asleep or something, like if this is actually an alarm intended to wake you up and you kind of don't wake up immediately, you might want it to keep making noise until it hopefully wakes you up. So there may be something to be said for replaying the sound. Yeah, replay sound if not snoozed or stopped when it finishes. I'll put a question mark because I don't know if I want to do that, but it's an idea. So the real question then is actually between snoozed and stopped. Snoozed has two transitions. And we also have that value that I packed into it because this is how long we are supposed to snooze for. What's going on, Tusk? Hello. Are you back for real, or are you Are you still bootleg? Hope you're doing good though. It's good to see you. So we have that value that I packed into the enum here, right? And that represents how long we want to snooze for. So I'm gonna say, you know what? It's better to do a duration. Hear me out. It's better to do a duration than just some random thing here. So we're gonna say maybe chrono. No, we'll do STD time duration. Why is that mad? This pattern has 0 fields. I think it's oh, it's this, yeah. It's just mad down here. So we're gonna say snooze duration. Good for you, Tusk. Yeah, dude, I've missed you here. Had some pretty good streams, some pretty good content happening. Had a Noita victory yesterday that you missed. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we packed in the snooze duration, and what I want to do is basically decide whether or not I want to move it back to the primed, or not primed, move it back to the active state. So what we probably want to do is, yeah, so state transition to snooze. And there's going to be some code here. State transition to snoozed, state transition to stopped. So those are the two valid things we can do here. And when we go to the snooze state, we have to basically tell it how long to snooze. So we're going to pass in some duration. I'm going to say STD time. No, actually, see, Chrono does have a duration, and I think I do want to use that because we are using Chrono for timekeeping. So how do I have durations now? Did I pull those in already? Oh. Use Chrono duration. You know, let me try something. Let me see if I can get it to import that on its own. It does neater imports than I do. Duration, use Chrono. Yeah. Did it import that? Yeah, see, it put it with the prelude. I like that. I do know exactly what you're talking about, Tusk. It's good stuff. Except, unfortunately, serialize is not implemented for chrono duration. That sucks. Okay. Well, we'll use STD time duration because apparently serialize is implemented for that, and we can convert but from that to the chrono duration if I need it. So let's get back here. And we're gonna say hard-coded time for now. We're gonna say from sex 10. So on the active state, I'm gonna do something really jank. I'm gonna play the sound here. I'm gonna put a sleep in, and then, yeah, we'll see what happens. There's some weirdness here, though. Bear with me. You know, I should have printed out the snooze stuff. So let's do So we're just basically going to say alarm is snoozing, alarm.name. And we're going to say total duration is snooze duration. But I really need to convert that duration into something different. Maybe. Okay, yeah, we're getting that passed in. So that's good. So there's now still the question of when to switch states and how to switch back into primed. You can be just like me, Tusk. See your own reflection, tell the future. Alrighty. So yeah, we'll transition to snooze. Now really we only want to do this when prompted by the user, but we don't have any way to interface with, to interact with the user yet. So this is just, you know, hypothetical at the moment. And the same for stopped. So then what we would do is, how would I do a placeholder on this? Basically, it's like if prompted by user to snooze, and here, if prompted by user to stop. Otherwise, we don't do anything. So it's going to be a like 3 condition setup here. The other thing here is alarm.state. Now I know this is bad logic, but I'm going to fix it. Oops. So the reason this is bad logic is because setting the state here is meaningless if we're going to then immediately set the state again. So I'm actually going to just do that. Cool. And then we're going to have some logic to do for a stopped alarm, like checking if it needs to repeat. So what do we need to do? Does alarm repeat? What's another question? Well, actually, I think everything's related to if it repeats, right? So watch, we'll say this. If alarm dot repeat cycle. If it's no repeat, delete from config. Else update target time in config. What is that? Oh, Tusk. You got to check something out. Also, yeah, don't do that with the gorilla. Don't do that with the Gorilla Glue. Check out the emotes, man. Check out the emotes here on the channel. Update target time in config. That's what I'm going with for now, because I think that's how I'm going to manage it, but there may be another idea that crops up at some point. What? An implementation for partial EQ might be missing for repeat cycle. I thought I had that. I guess I don't. Partial EQ and EQ, we'll get both. Right, there we go. Sweet. Okay, so if it's no repeat, we want to delete it from the config. We're done with that alarm. It's gone. So that's going to pose its own interesting challenge, I think. That's going to be a thing I have to step back and think about a little bit. And that's because we're basically iterating through something and deleting it as we iterate through it. So I've got an idea. Check this out. Alarm.state equal state delete. And let's add that to the enum. Generate variant. So now we have a new variant to the enum. Delete. And basically, yeah, alarm.state. Okay, it's right here. So we should not find anything here. But we'll ignore it if it's in a deleted state. I have an idea. Oh, you can't? Well, that's a shame. So many things for you to see. You can't do the point redemption thing and get like unlock one? Okay. So delete. Alarm is marked for deletion. Now I have something funky here to do. Basically, before we actually run alarms or anything, like we run through every alarm, some of them will be marked for deleting. Some of them might be marked for deleting. But we'll log it. We'll say log warn, because it really shouldn't be getting in here. I can't tell you how many points you have. I can't see it. I tried to look. I could see that you have sent 999 messages. Well, 999 plus. Should I post something? Here, let me post something. Which one? Hold on. There's your little teaser right here. A couple. Oh my God, they're on my face. Oh my God. Let me do it again. See if they'll separate. Oh yeah, look at that dude sliding up there, looking chill. I love it. Okay. So there we go. So we should not get here. So let's get back up to before the loop. And here we want to delete any alarms which should be deleted. All I'm going to do here is say alarm, what is it? Alarm config dot alarms equal alarm config dot alarms dot iter dot filter okay, and all I'm going to do here is say alarm dot state not equal state delete. We could do this. No? Oh, I don't have clone implemented. It's annoying when you get these like double pointers here. We can't do that. There's a better way to do this, and I run into this problem from time to time. Oh, whoops. We should be able to do this on the alarm, I think. So let's just implement clone. State and repeat cycle also need clone. I did not do that, man. Weekday needs clone. Okay, we made everything happy. So we just clone the alarms and we recapture that in the config. The question is, we'll do a to-do here. Update config on disk. So what I mean here is, if we change something, if we change something, if something needs to be deleted, then we want to do this. So it may actually be worth maintaining just a variable or something and doing a conditional here. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to do it though. I feel like there's a better way to do it, but basically what I'm thinking here is if, no, not if, why am I putting an if there? Let mute delete alarm equal false. And here we'll just say if delete alarm, we don't even need equal true, which means I'm going to rename that to should delete alarm. Boom. All right, we're going to set it to false here. And then later, when we actually transition something to the delete state, you know what? This would be, no, this would be a good place to do it. Because there may be, no, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The alarm will stay in existence for one more cycle, but we could just put that in here. So now we expect to get here. Should delete alarm is true. Up here we'll say if we should delete an alarm, we do that. We basically just filter out all the alarms. It sounds weird saying it like that, but we do a filter and get only the alarms which are not to be deleted. And then we collect that back into a new vector. Then, now for the fun part, I copy paste this and we do this again and we update the config on disk. And now we've modified the config file on disk. We convert that alarm config. Yep. We convert that alarm config into a YAML string. We write it back into the alarm config.yaml like a boss. I love it. So that takes care of a couple things of removing alarms that have been, delete no repeat alarms. Boom. Good. And that gives us a way to delete any alarm. So even if I have like a UI or something at some point, this state machine kind of system that I'm building out here is going to give me a chance to just simply use that delete state and have all the logic built in. Smart. Oh, you know what, Tusk? I got another one for you. It like only put one of them. I put it twice. There we go. Why did I put them on top of each other? There we go. Oh man, that's good water. I needed that. Okay, so I think we've gotten to a much better state than what I left it at last time. The biggest thing we're missing here is a way for the user to interact. And that's going to be hard to do without a UI. So I don't really know what to do about that until I start building out a UI. So I'm going to just keep focusing more on the logic here, and let's see if I can build out how I want this snooze to work. And I think the way the snooze is going to work is also going to be similar to the way this stopped works. They're going to be very similar, except stopped is going to be like more of a permanent, not permanent, but it's going to make more of a permanent modification, I think, to the alarm. Whereas snooze is going to be kind of a something in the middle, right? So maybe rather than saying I'm passing the duration, maybe I take the duration in from the user when I do this, when I set it in snooze state, which would be here, and I build out the new target time for when to reactivate the alarm and go into the go back into the active state, if that makes sense. So in snoozed, we have two state transitions that we can do. We can state transition, if I can talk, or if I can type, state transition to active. And that one's going to be pretty easy. This is not exactly right, but we're going to pretend this is it. I'm going to remove this sleep because that's not helpful anymore. So this is basically it. Yeah. This is how we know we need to go to active, except it's not target time. It's going to be something different. It's going to be based on this like duration thing. So we're going to say if now is greater than snooze duration. I know that's not right, but we got this. Trust me. Yeah, if now is greater than that. And then here we are going to say state transition to stopped. And in that case, can I just do this? Can I just do that? Maybe. I think I can. And I think I can build the same logic for both of them. But this has to be prompted by a user. An alarm should not just snooze, or should not just stop automatically. So it has to be prompted by the user. So that's going to be something that we worry about whenever I can get some input from the user, which maybe I should be doing. So this snooze duration thing is a little broken because I changed how I want to do it. We're changing this on the fly. Let me do something over here real quick. And let's see. That's really dark, but I like it. Okay. So snooze duration should be a date time, which is actually fine, but I want to build it up here where the transition happens. So user inputs a duration. We build date time here. So it's going to be date, let snooze target equal, what do I want to do? Date time now. It's not date time, it's local, right? Yeah, local now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this, and we're just gonna add a duration on here. So we're gonna say let snooze duration equal, and it's gonna be duration from, oh, there's got to be a better. What are the functions on here? Hour. Okay, can we get secs? Yeah, we can get seconds. Got it. So we're gonna snooze it for 10 seconds. We're gonna say snooze from now, add 10 seconds to that. That's our target. We're gonna pass that target into there. I know you're not happy, but it's okay. So let's see. Whoops. Snooze target. And we're going to switch that out to another daytime local. And that is serializable. So that's good. Except something's mad down here. Why are you mad? Expected U64. What? Snoozed should not be a U64 unless I just did something stupid. What? Now that's confusing. This is a date-time local. This is happy down here, so what is going on with this? Let me just... Oh! Yeah, I'm stupid. I'm still building a duration. I don't need to build a duration. There we go. We passed the snooze target. Okay, so let's run through this logic, because it's weird. We're basically building a state machine out of this match, and there's a lot of transitions, there's a lot of things that can happen here. So, an alarm is primed. It's ready to go. If now is greater than the target time, we start up the alarm. We play the sound, and we switch it to active. That's easy enough. So an alarm can go from primed or to active, or we could say every alarm can go to a deleted state. So I'm going to actually put this at the end of every state. And see, the question is how do I do this without user input? We're just going to say state delete transition, and it's going to be the same for all of them, because any alarm should be able to be deleted, right? So all we're doing here is we're marking it for deletion. Next step through, we'll toggle this bool. Now I could just put the bool here. I could say, you know, should delete and all that, and kind of ignore this match arm. But I'm okay with that one extra loop. It's not that big of a deal. So we could have delete transition, delete, to do state delete transition, boom. Okay, so any state can go to a deleted state. That's good. I like that. So if an alarm is primed, it can go active. I don't think there's really anything else. No, there is. There is one more idea. Okay, let's think about this. An alarm can be deactivated or it can be stopped, and those mean different things. A deactivated alarm is like, yo, I'm active right now and you deactivated me, but I'm going to go back into a primed state. A stopped alarm is one that's not going to reactivate until you prime it. But it's not deleted. So on my phone, I have alarms that are turned off, but they're not deleted. I still have them. So I do want to add another state. I want to differentiate between a stop alarm and a deactivated alarm. So let's do that. I'm going to add, I like to kind of put them in order. So deactivated, and deactivated can then transition like into a primed state, and we'll do some updating there. I think that's what I want to do. So stopped can basically only transition to delete, and primed. You could delete a stopped alarm, but you can't activate it, right? You can't activate a stopped alarm. And I'm going to rename this to, no, active is fine. And I'm going to say inactive? No, deactivated's fine. Active, deactivated. And the idea here is when an alarm has been deactivated, you want to do some processing to it. You might want to mess with some stuff to it. And that's how you reset it and reprime it for the next time that it should go off. That's going to be similar logic to what snoozing does, but it's a little bit different. A primed alarm, well, delete, you know, we know what that does. A primed alarm can be deleted, it can be stopped, or it can be active. It can go into the active state. An active alarm can be deactivated or snoozed. We could even say stopped, probably. And then snoozed can go deactivated. It can be stopped, basically. And a stopped alarm, I think, should really only be able to go primed and delete. I think I'm happy with that. So that adds a little bit more. It's complaining right now because I don't have a match arm for deactivated. So let's, hey, come on, do it for me. I'm lazy. I want to unwrap block. There we go. Fill match arms. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that myself. Let the IDE do it. Except I'm probably going to move it around. So what I'm actually going to do is go... I don't know. I might be fine with that. I might shuffle them around later. So I'm just going to put a log statement in here. We're not going to keep these, I don't think, but that's good for now. All right, there we go. So now I just ran over all that state machine info on the enums up there, but we got to kind of run through it again here and make sure I get all the transitions that I want, at least in comments, because some of this, I think the next step to really get some of this working is to get some kind of user input, because I can't really do anything meaningful with conditional checks if I don't have a way to modify those on the fly. So even just a very basic UI that lets me toggle a few variables just to get started, that's going to be one of the next things I have to do in order to really push this further, I think. So, I mean, that's not going to happen right now, but I'm going to continue just making sure I have like the basic logic kind of worked out here. So let's just start from a primed alarm. So a primed alarm, You can delete or stop it, or it'll activate. So this one I think is pretty much done. I don't know what else you would do with that, right? You delete or stop it. You can't deactivate. Actually, you can. I can do that on my phone. If I wake up early, I can preemptively deactivate my alarm. That's tricky. That's tricky because, all right, I'll think about that. I can preemptively deactivate the alarm on my phone, and it won't go off today, but it'll go off tomorrow morning. So that could even be another state, like, I don't know. See, I'm just gonna say deactivate it for now, and I'll think about that. That's gonna be a little more interesting because the way I was thinking about deactivating it is doing a look ahead and finding out the next time that we should activate the alarm. But if you deactivate it before it's supposed to go off today, you've got to know to do like kind of 2 look aheads because you're preemptively deactivating the one that should go off maybe 10 minutes from now. So then you want to get the one tomorrow morning. So there's some interesting stuff there. Again, I'll think about that. What other transitions do I care about? What other ones do I want? Let's see. Just copy that so I don't have to type too much. So from here, let's say you go to the active state. An active alarm can be deactivated. It can be stopped. Stop is essentially a more hardcore deactivate. Stop transition. Definitely. I mean, you had a password on your phone, right, Tusk? You better. Why not? You're talking to a security guy, a cybersecurity guy. Why would you tell me you didn't have a password on your phone? Okay, so there we go. Normalize it a little bit. So an active alarm can be deactivated. It can be snoozed. It can be stopped. And it can be deleted. 4 different things. I'm cool with all that. I don't know what else you would do with it. So then that brings us to a snoozed alarm. A snoozed alarm, if it needs to reactivate, we've already got the logic in here for that. This is stopped, so I'm going to do... Yeah. So a snoozed alarm, you can stop it. You can reactivate it. You can deactivate it. I know that sounds like the same thing. But again, there is a distinction, and I think that's important. What the fuck? I swear there was something crawling on my wrist. Okay. Good with that. A stopped alarm. All you can do with a stopped alarm, I think I'm okay with that. It can go to delete. That's one way for it to go to delete. But there's another, okay, yeah, this is getting confusing. But if you stop an alarm that was active and it has a repeat cycle of no repeat, you should delete it. Any other alarm can also be deleted differently. A stopped alarm can also be primed. And that is kind of it. I'm going to move deactivated up here with stopped. I'm going to say stopped is a more hardcore deactivation. And it's going to actually be like the same. What we're imagining here is... Yeah. Maybe... what I'm noticing is repeated code. So repeated code to check if repeat cycle no repeat. Potentially move straight to delete instead of here. I'm gonna put that on both of them. That's a thing to think about later. Because it makes this function more muddy, more messy. I'm empty. It makes these a little bit more messy to look at. So I'll probably think about maybe doing that a little bit different. But we'll worry about that later because it's not going to happen right this minute. Okay, so that's good. Back to the train of thought here. So you got an alarm that was running, snoozing, whatever. You deactivate it. It should either be deleted, which is what we already have built in, or it should be reprimed. I don't think there should be anything else you do, or I guess it could be, no, I'm gonna say if you just deactivate, it doesn't have a chance to go into stopped. You have to want to stop it to stop it. So else, the only things that can happen here are that the alarm, you delete it from the config, or this here, you prime it. Which means down here, if you stop it, I'm assuming we might want to do this, we'll leave it, but a stopped alarm can be deleted, it can be primed. That's really it. Okay. And once you delete it, man, you're done. You deleted it. You can't do anything else, right? So you're done. That's it for the state transition. It feels a bit crazy. I almost want to do a graph or something to really show how it all fits together. Like, this is a field, the idea of what we're doing here with a finite state machine, that's part of the field known as automata theory. At least that's where I really learned about this formally. And I mean, I guess we did see state machines of some kinds in other courses, but automata theory, there's a huge focus on state machines, finite state machines. And that's basically what we're going over here, is you have a state and you define what can it do to transition to other states, and you build out like a graph. That's basically what I'm doing here. I'm doing it with enums and state transitions, and we're simply relying on looping through this code and doing match statements to basically run the code for each state. Now there are other ways you would do this, by doing like an impl block or something on the enum and then building the code into that impl block. And it's probably a little more elegant in some ways. But what you would do there is I wouldn't have this big ass for loop. Instead, I would have like I would just say, we loop through, and instead of doing a match on the alarm state, I would say alarm.state.execute, and then that code would have a match statement, and then each of those would maybe call another function or something. So it'd be a really clean match statement that would just say like state active, and then it would be like self dot whatever, like active. It'd be something very simple like that. So it'd be a very clean match statement, and all the logic would be hidden in that active function. So that's a way you could actually clean this up and make it look really neat. I'm not gonna go through all that. I don't necessarily see a need to anytime soon, but that's the idea of something you could do to make it a little neater. I will show though. I will go up here and just demo real quick. just for anyone who may ever watch this who doesn't know as much about Rust. What I mean by that is we do impl, and then, well, you gotta, as I'm talking, it broke my brain. You impl state, you impl whatever the thing is you're doing an impl for. Impl just means like implement, right? Implement some functionality for a type. Now, when you do impl state or impl whatever, like alarm, this is implementing it directly on that type. But you could also do traits, and I could say like impl display for state, and now it's mad because no, is it not display? I could swear it was display. Why are you doing this to me? Let me double check and look it up. Rust display. Standard format display. Maybe I had to import it. Not all. Yeah, okay. It's just because it wasn't brought into scope. So then we could do implement missing members. So basically, the display trait says, hey, you have to implement a function called format, and it's got to look like this. So that's how you would do traits with an impl block. But what I came over here to say was, if you just want to implement directly on a type, rather than dealing with traits or anything, you do like impl, and then you do the type that you want to implement on. You can do this with anything, in fact. Watch this show me up, but this is something I never do, really. But you could say impl u32. Cannot define it. Yeah, you can't do it for primitive types. There's another way you could do it with like generics. You could do generics, which would then work on like primitives. I told you, watch it show me up. I don't have a script or anything. I'm going off the top of my head. But I do know it is possible. You can implement for like a generic and basically have it work on primitive types. There's a great video, I think it might have been from within the past half a year or so. I don't know their name, but they did a presentation at a conference, and there's this Python module which does progress bars, and it's very neat in the way that it just wraps up a type. You barely have to do any work to make it happen. And they said, I want to do this in Rust and basically build a progress bar onto things in a very like idiomatic, natural way. And they had some good examples of how you can implement something on the generic and have it just affect like everything in the language. So it's super powerful. So anyway, getting away from that sidetrack thing again, we have impl state, and we could do some stuff in here. And what I was saying before is you could have something like execute as like a built-in function here. So you do execute, and you would say, I want it to be mutable for a reason, and mute self. And then I don't know if we want to return anything, so I don't care. But then you would say match self, and you would do this, fill match arms. Now we have something here where I'm just going to say active. Yeah. Now it's going to be like, I don't know what active is, right? So it's out here. We'll have to do self active. And notice I did capital there. So let's go. Whoops. Not what I want. I want to implement a function. All right, so I had the IDE do a lot of the work for me, but we also have to differentiate what does lowercase versus capital mean on self. Lowercase self is the variable that you're working with. If you make a function like this that takes in self as its first parameter, that means it is like a method that can be called on that function, or that is, excuse me, that is like a method that can be called on the variable. If you do self with the capital here, it's more like a static member function of that type. So you can't call the way I've defined it here by doing it this way. you can't actually call active on a state. So it's a little weird. I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but you probably actually would want to do that in this case. I just wanted to demonstrate the difference there. So what we'd really want to do here is say, now watch the difference. Where I had it auto-generate, we have no parameter here. We're not passing anything in. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say self.active. And notice we're now passing in &self. I'm going to change it to mute, because what we would want to do here is some state transition and some logic. So then inside of the active function here, we would say self. Well, there's a little bit of a problem here. I'm going down a bad rabbit hole. I missed something. Let me think about this. Yeah, there might actually be a little bit of an issue here. Can you do this? This may not be the best approach. Yeah, you could do that. Okay, cool. So yeah, you would do your transition. You'd have to dereference it. So you'd say .self equal. No, so you could do state like that. Or you could do capital self, because that gets turned into the type. And we see here that says enum state. So you could do this, you know, some state transition and some logic. And then you basically have a very simple, elegant match statement here where you'd have self dot deactivated lasers. What? So there we go. And that's the way you could kind of build this out in maybe a way that would look a little bit cleaner down here. Because in the for loop, all I would have to do now is say alarm.state.execute. And that's it. All the logic would be built into that. Do I want to do that? I don't know, maybe. We'll think about it for next time. It's unnecessary at the moment. I just thought it'd be fun to detour onto that. I'm kind of running up on the end of what I wanted to do today. On the one hand, I don't feel like I did a lot. On the other hand, I actually did. I did do a lot because I got all the transitions built out. I got all the logic in where this thing is actually able to function a little bit better, but it still can't really, because we need some kind of concept of a UI or something to be able to control this thing. So how about we take just a minute more, a few more minutes, and build out, let's just get something started for a UI. It's not going to be very sexy, but we'll get something started and see, I don't know, I'll give it like maybe 15 minutes or something, not very much, but we'll try it out. So let me get to my browser here, and I'll show you what I've been using for that. Rust Slint, S-L-I-N-T. And we're going to go to the docs here. Here we are, Slint 0.2.5. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to bring that over here to my cargo.toml. Slint is made by people who I think used to work on Qt, which is like one of the big C++ frameworks for graphics. So it has some good pedigree behind it. If I go to the website, slint-ui.com, we could see fluid, cross-platform, multi-language, intuitive API in your favorite programming language, C++, Rust, JavaScript, rapid design, iterate quickly with live preview. It's got some good stuff. I'm not really a UI person myself, but So what I've found is that I really like UIs that have a markup language separate from separate from your code. So I have some experience with Windows Platform Foundation with like C Sharp. I think it's now UPF or something. I don't know. They've changed the name, but I have some experience with that. And basically, you define your UI in XML. It's similar to what you do if you're making an Android app. Your UI is defined in XML, and you basically just have like, you could do a lot of automatic layout stuff where it's like, just make a vertical layout, and then when you just slap things inside of that vertical layout XML tag, it basically they automatically like stack on top of each other. So it does a lot of the work of building the UI for you, and that's something I really like about Slint, just from what I've used. So let's click back over to the docs here, and there's a couple ways we can do this. So designs of user interfaces are in this .slint markup language. There are 3 ways of doing it. You could do it inline in a macro. And so what you'll notice is the Rust macro system is extremely powerful, and you can basically define an entire domain-specific language within the macro. So it turns out this is just straight up the .slint markup. This is straight up that language. You could paste this stuff into a .slint file and load it in like another language that can read .slint, and it'll be happy. The only difference like is you're just slapping it inside of this Slint macro. Everything in here is just the Slint markup language. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. I like that, but it's a little bit more tied to my code than I would like it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this into a separate file where we could define it, and it's going to be like this. We're going to set up basically a build dependency and this build.rs. So we're going to have a couple quick things we have to do here, but it's not actually that bad. So let me just copy that, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that into cargo.toml and then switch back to the browser. And I'm going to grab this build.rs and I'm going to put this under the package, and I'll be back to the browser. No need to switch over to show you this yet. Okay, so the next thing, we need to make a build.rs file. So I'm going to copy this. This goes in build.rs, and I think that just goes in source. So let's find out, right? So under source, we're going to say build.rs. And that's all we need, except we're going to say alarm.slint. And over here, we need a UI file, a UI folder. So we're going to say UI. We're going to say new file, alarm.slint. I always feel like I'm about to say a bad word when I say that name. Okay. And we're going to go back to the browser. So finally, use the include modules macro in main.rs. So we'll put this right in front of main. Just hang tight. I'm going to do that. You don't got to see me do it. You can take my word for it. It's just right above main. All right, Slint include modules. And then we're also going to grab this here, and now we'll switch over. You get to see this one. We'll just make this like the second thing we do right after logging, except I'm gonna name it alarm app new dot run maybe. We're gonna have to like reorganize some of this because what's going to end up happening is this .run is going to basically lock everything down until the UI dies. So that's fine. We get to just move some code around. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Because like all the skeleton's in place. Now we just need to interact with it, right? So it's going to be yet another round of re-architecting a little bit. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do git add dot Git commit -m. Next. Oh no. Oh, that's what was happening. I thought I broke something. Okay, we're good then. Next step, integrate UI. Okay. Just want to get that commit in there to have a like a working state-ish. Okay, so alarm app. We have nothing in here. Let's go back and get a sample. So let's take a look at the browser here, and we want to get this bad boy right here. So I'm going to paste that into the slint, alarm.slint. I'm going to change it to application. I don't like app. Okay, so we have something that just has a little bit of text in it. Some green text says hello world. If I did everything right. Unfortunately, you won't see this. Couldn't read build.rs. I couldn't find it. Do I gotta put build.rs at the top level? Yeah, so it's working now. We're building. We're gonna try to run. And we got us a UI. Let me swap this thing out real quick. It's blinding because it's just white, but it's there. Let me get back to code. Alrighty, so we got us a oh. That startled me because the alarm started triggering. As I said, the thread would be locked until the UI was killed. Well, I killed the UI, and that unlocked the thread. So we were waiting on this run to finish, basically. But there's some cool stuff we could start doing now. We could actually start working with the UI a little bit. One of the coolest things, though, that I could show you is show preview. Now, what this is going to do is on my somewhere, oh, it opened up in the background. It actually opens up a preview that I can edit in real time. So if I recapture this slint window, not sure why it's not capturing. I wonder if it's because it's just a preview. How odd. Let's do BRB and let me switch back. Well then, I'm gonna have to work out something to do about that. Oh, there we got it. All right, I got it. Cool. Previously on the walking text. Well, let's see. Well, look at that. It's changing in real time. So I have a UI preview window here that I can see changing in real time. And I could do all kinds of cool stuff. I can make this blue. It's lowercase. I can make it blue. I can put the word donkey. Doesn't matter, right? So I could actually do a lot of cool stuff here. I can build out a UI without having to compile every single time. It's super powerful. All I'm doing is modifying that alarm.slint file. And that's basically the idea of what I want to go with now, is to use that to build out a bit of a skeleton, a bit of a UI that lets me interact a little bit back and forth with the code. And then I could have like buttons in here or something to do things. And then I can like slowly build out a bit of a working UI. So the other one that I'm interested in is another framework called Dioxys. I've never used it. It looks like it requires like CSS knowledge and some other stuff that I don't have knowledge of. This to me, learning a little markup, like, I mean, I guess CSS is styles, style sheets. It's not that different than a markup. I mean, it is, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know CSS, whatever. But the point is, I guess the Dioxis requires a little bit of a more specialized knowledge, I think, than what I have. So this to me is really easy to start with, really easy to learn. I've had fun using it recently because I can actually make UIs and not completely fail. I'm really bad at that stuff. So, again, it's good for me to have something that I can use. What I think I might do is work out a bit of a prototype before the next coding stream, because it's gonna suck switching back and forth between this preview here, or this here, and the preview, to being able to see the actual window. But what I'll probably do is work out a prototype on the side, and then I'll like live code it up here. That way it can be demonstrated how it's created and how all the different pieces fit together. I think that's going to be what I want to go for. Rather than like figure out the whole UI here. UI is not my strong suit. As long as I get something that kind of works, then that'll make me happy. And I think I'm pretty much at the end of what I want to do today. Again, on the one hand, it feels like I didn't do a lot. On the other hand, I kind of did. I mean, I guess there is still the idea that I could take the code from here and just plop it. Like, I could do this, plop, bring it right up in here into this impl block, and just kind of do this. Like, maybe. Except the problem here is we're just doing that on state. So if I do want to log anything about the alarm, we'll have to change how that works. But I mean, I could straight up just do this. I'm thinking about something. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to this once it's a little more fleshed out. I don't want to copy this in here while there's like half logic that's not completely finished. And the way some of this might work is going to work might change a little bit as it gets integrated with the UI. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. So I'm just gonna explain where we're at and what we did today. Again, on the one hand, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it actually is a lot. It really fleshed out the way a lot of this stuff is going to work. There is still an outstanding question, however, and let me see if I could narrow that down real quick as I'm talking about it. So the outstanding question is what to do when we deactivate an alarm and bring it back into the primed state. So a deactivated alarm, if it doesn't need to be deleted, we need to update the target time. So to update the target time, we basically need to say match alarm.state. Well, that's pointless. No, not state. Match alarm dot repeat cycle. That's pointless. I'll show you why. Instead of that, alarm.repeat cycle, repeat. We're gonna match for no repeat. Then we're gonna delete from config. Whoops. Do I wanna, yeah, we'll just copy that. But it's not a to-do because the delete logic is there. Delete from config, and then it's mad. But I can say all other states behave differently. So there we go. Now I can delete that. That's a little more elegant. Oh, that's right. There we go. That's a little more elegant. I like that a lot more. We're going to match on the repeat cycle. Primed and delete. I think I still want to be able to... Yeah, let me do this. Let me think for just a moment. If I take this match here and replace this, we don't go to primed in a stop, but I think I will update the target time. Probably. What I'm having a problem with here is I don't think we want to check that repeat cycle every time. We only want to do that if we immediately deactivate something. So I think if we move an alarm to stop, we shouldn't be doing any of this. I'm probably okay with this because you can stop an alarm that needs to be deleted. That makes sense. I don't like the idea of updating something in the config every single time I check a stopped alarm. That's bad. So only if we find a stopped alarm that shouldn't repeat, should we move it for deletion. A deactivated alarm should never stay deactivated, so I'm good with that. A deactivated alarm can only go to primed, so I'm good with that. I still don't 100% like checking this every time. But I will accept that for now. I have ideas. So the other things a stopped alarm can do is go primed or delete. And that's going to be based on user input. So that's cool. So the thing here, and what it means to prime is going to be similar to what we have to do in here, updating the time, but it's going to be a little bit different because we're going from a stopped state. You might have stopped that alarm for 6 weeks and you want to like re-enable it. That's going to be a little different than if you immediately deactivate an alarm. So here to update the time, we need to figure out the next time that that alarm should happen, which is going to be based on the target time plus some value relative to your repeat cycle. Which means what is the best way to do this? Repeat cycle. No. Alarm repeat. Unused variable cannot. It's behind a mutable reference. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting into a weird place here. Can I just get, can I get access to it? No, can't move. See, this is going to be where it's a little funky. So what's happening is we're matching on repeat cycle. And then I'm trying to do something with it. What I want to do is a blanket match for all of them because I don't want to repeat the same piece of code over and over. But it seems like it's going to get a little funky here. So I wonder if I might do something a little different. We'll see. We'll see. We'll think about it. Look at that. I've already gone a little extra because I'm getting interested in how I want to handle this. This is like the biggest edge case that's bothering me. So basically the idea is alarm.target time equals some new target time. So we'll say new target time. And then here we'll say let new target time equal how. So this is where it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be like what I would like to do is say match. I'd like to do another match on the repeat cycle. Will you let me do it though? You will. Okay. That's ugly though. Matching twice on it's ugly. I don't like it. All right, we should never get there. I'm gonna say if you get there, you panic. And it's all unreachable because of some whatever. So we're gonna say local now plus duration put 100 seconds on there. You know what the easier way to do this is? That. Whatever. Like, it's fine. What I actually need to do is probably say... I just wanted to get a placeholder in here, right? So instead of local now, we'll say target time plus duration hours 24. See, here we go now. This is what we want. If we're doing it weekly, is there a week? Weeks 1. So I might pull this match up and just build it all in a one match statement until instead of this goofy stuff that I'm doing here. Let's copy alarm.target time. Some of these I do want, some of these I do want local now. And that's these every whatever. So we're gonna say m men's sex. Dude, go away, autocomplete. I don't want you right now. All right. What does it actually want? An I-64. Okay, that's easy enough. So every X minutes needs to be an I-64. We're just gonna make Chrono happy. I don't care so much about the times here. Actually, I do. Nah, I-64 is okay. I was gonna say I kind of do, because I liked the idea of saying if you need more than 255 minutes, then you should probably use something else, because that's almost 5 hours. It's like 4 hours and 15 minutes. 6. And we have days. Does it want I-64 on all these? Yeah, seconds, hours, and days are all I-64. Let's get back up there and update all those. Again, I was thinking, if you need more than 255 days, like that's an absurd repeat on your alarm. You're probably not going to have the program that long, let's be honest. Okay. So that is not that bad, actually. This is going to be the same thing that happens when you, no, that's fine. Yeah. So in this case, if it's every whatever, that should happen when you deactivate the alarm. And that happens whether you snooze or whatever. It's from that point. So if you say, like, give me something every 30 minutes, but you snoozed it for 5 minutes at some point, it's going to start over from like when you snoozed, I guess. Or from when you actually deactivated it. So it's really saying like every blank minutes after it's deactivated. So if you started it right on the hour, but then you snoozed it for some weird number of minutes, it's not going to stay on the hour. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it's a thing where it would be confusing to the user, but that's how it's programmed now. That's all that matters to me, because it makes sense to me at the moment. So specific day, this is the weekday one, but it's a vector of days, right? Days, a hash set. Why are you mad? Cannot move out of alarm. I'm not trying to. It's really not happy. Clone that bish. There we go. Just clones everywhere. It's fine. There's probably a better way to do that. I'm gonna leave it to do there. Something to investigate. I just want to make it happy for the moment. This is now my new goal for the night, is to have some logic in place. My last goal, to have some logic in place for what we can do, like how we basically prime the alarm again. And I think this is it, really. This is going to get a little more interesting, though, because I have to find out what's the logic here. So check today against hash set, find next valid target time. So I need a way to map today to my weekday enum. So let's see. Let today equal, let now equal local now dot day as 0 or as 1. Oh, that's not what I want. Weekday. Do you have a weekday thing in here? Could I have just used that? It's too bad I made an enum. I'm using it. There's a way to get the weekday. There it is. Returns the day of the week. Yeah, they do have their own weekday enum. is up with this? Why are you mad? Those guys don't do... Oh, right. Okay, so we're gonna say... Whatever. Just to make it happy. Don't keep me. Okay. I just want to make it happy. I don't like seeing all the red. Okay. Can I see the enumeration? There it is. Go to weekday. So they actually have values associated with it. Oh man, I should almost just use what they have. Does it do... It doesn't do... Oh, it does do serialize and deserialize. Sweet. What the hell is RKYV? Weird. Looks like that's where the serialize and deserialize comes from, though. I might need to enable that feature. Because are we talking about the Saturday features here? No, that's whatever RKYV is. I'm not familiar with that. I'm getting distracted, but I'm curious. Oh, here we have Saturday. Okay. Yeah, so Saturday, the Saturday feature is there, which I should have. Yeah, I do. Okay. Then we're good. The Saturday feature is there, then we serialize the weekdays. Weekday Saturday, use super weekday. Maybe. Maybe. I'm gonna be really lazy right now and just use what I made. Is it raining? I think it is. It's been storming super heavy here. Why won't you give me the free match arms, bro? Yeah, see, this looks terrible, though. It can't figure that out because we have 2 weekday. No? Now can you figure it out? Oh, I had something. Yeah. I know, this is terrible right now. Promise it'll all be clean one day. That's what I get for doing it live. And Sunday. I think it's fun doing it live. It challenges you a little bit. Puts you on the spot. Okay, so what we have here is I've converted today into one of my own weekday enums, which I made before realizing that Chrono had it. We'll say... Let's try using Chrono's weekday instead of mine. One of many to-dos. So that's today. And then what I want to do is I want to find out, like, we want to loop through the weekdays and figure out what is the next valid day, essentially, that we can use. And I actually feel like there was something in here which said get next day. Was there an iterator or something in here? Suck. Yeah, suck is in here. And it just maps. That's, I mean, that's cool, yeah. I could pretty much just copy that. Because that doesn't work for me. So basically what I want to do is do an impl on weekday. Next day, weekday. And we're going to say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, almost there, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right. So what we want to do for the target here, where is it at? Right around here? Yeah, so what we want to do here is check today against hash set. So I want to say, how do I want to do this? Loop. So what we're going to do, we're going to loop until we find a match. So it's going to be let day equals, I'm going to need to make it above here. So we are, and I don't need to do that. Let mute day. I don't need to make another one. So then we're simply going to say let day equal day dot next day if day days dot contains day. I'm gonna change this to valid days. So okay, what's the meaning here? What's the logic here? Oh, I put a let. We don't want let. Okay, so what's the logic here? It's some weird stuff. Let's ignore this match because I'm converting two types. Let's ignore that. It's gross. I understand. It's not there. Pretend it's gone. But for what are we doing here? We have a set of valid days. Maybe you only want your alarm on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. So if today is Tuesday, we want to check Wednesday. It's not Wednesday. It's not Thursday. It's not Friday. Oh, but it is Saturday. So that's basically all we want here. Is we want to check, we want to get whatever today is. It's Tuesday. We just disabled the alarm. It's Tuesday. So we have a loop here and we say, all right, day is, we get Tuesday. Now day is equal to day.next day. So day is Wednesday. Does valid days contain Wednesday? No. Let's loop again. We just modified day to Wednesday, so now day is Wednesday. Day.next day gives us Thursday. Do it again. Friday. Saturday. Now it's going to happen. So what we want to do is, now this is the one part that might still be a little wonky, is, in fact, maybe I do want to keep this as today. Let today equal that. Let mute day equal today dot clone. I don't know. I don't think I need to clone it, but we will. No, we won't. Okay. So we have today and we have the next valid day. We'll call that target day. So after we get out here, target day is now equal to like whatever the next valid day is. And we need to get the time, target time, and then switch the day. And the reason that's going to be a little weird is because we use date time. So it has the date built into it. Is date time potentially overkill? Like that would be a major overhaul if there was just a way to do a time only. I'm not sure of how to do that though. If that's even a thing you could do. We have local, date time, and time zone. I don't know. Time zone from local date time. Like, I mean, you could get just the time, but I think dates are important to be able to use though. So basically we have to somehow convert that next target day into, we need to be able to like add that to our target time for the alarm. We could do another thing too, which is let mute days equal 0. And then every time we go through here, we say days plus equal 1. And then we actually don't really need the target day anymore. So all we would do here is alarm dot target time equals alarm dot target time dot plus. Well, we don't need to do that. We can do plus equal. Days, like that. That's all I really need to do. I don't need to worry about a lot of that other stuff. Actually, no, I'm trying to return the duration, or hold on. Alarm.target time plus. Okay, no, I want to do that. Yeah. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, but I think that's gonna do it. Now, it's really hard to test this now. This is gonna be very difficult to test because we're talking about literal days. And I don't have a way to do a full test until we build out some of the UI, which makes it difficult. I mean, I do, but I don't. I would have to hard code a lot of things in, like, hey, just sleep alarms or just snooze alarm, like, do whatever. I would have to hard code in that behavior until I have a way to be able to like actually control it with the UI. So that's going to be a bit of a pain in the dick, but it's doable. And I'd rather avoid hard coding that kind of behavior. So we got a bunch of cool stuff happening there. This is all under deactivated. That's probably the bulkiest logic. So then here we're going to say alarm.state equal primed. So we now have a state transition to the primed state built in there. I think We're gonna need to do the same thing for stopped. It's gonna almost be this exact same logic. Yeah, I think it's gonna be this exact same logic. The main difference is that we don't want stopped to go directly into the primed state. We do want deactivated to always go into the primed state, but we don't want stopped to do that. We're gonna say also see, there is one piece of elegance to this double match. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not very elegant, but there is one thing that, and it's the reason I gravitated towards it. It's because in every case, we want to do the same logic. Well, we want to do some of the same logic. We want to get a new target time, and we want to apply it, and we want to transition state. But the other way to do that is to actually change the state here, do a continue, and then instead of doing this and having a nested match, we could bubble up all these matches here. And yeah, it's a lot to describe, but basically this value that I'm returning here, we would say let target time, let new target time. I know I made a typo. Equal blah blah blah, and you do continue because we're done with that one. And then on these other ones, we just bubble up all the matches. Move match to upper level. So it's actually going to be like this. I'm going to go ahead and do it because it is better. Repeat cycle. I broke something. So here, we're gonna say shit. Yeah, we're gonna say shit. Let new target time equal match alarm, blah, 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 clone. That's all the other stuff I just moved out of there. Update target time in config. Do have to do that. Sorry, it's getting a little monstrous at the moment. I just got it. I made it worse. Okay, let's see. Yeah, all these repeat cycles. After that one, these should be out here, yeah. Dude, what did I do? I made it worse. Let me undo a lot of that because I screwed it up. Okay. That sometimes happens. Okay, so this is what I want. I want this out here, and then we're gonna bubble up from the match right here. And then this is gonna be a continue. Because we're done. We don't need to do anything else. That's going to be the only case we don't bubble up a new time. In these other cases, we need to take all the repeat cycle stuff. So let's actually find the end here. And then that. There we are. Sweet. Okay, I got a little messy the first time, but oh, wait, it's mad. Why are you mad? Because I would need to do the clone here. Yeah, there's something going on there. I can't do a dereference there, can I? Can I reference it? There's something... Heat cycle cannot be dereferenced. Oh, right, we can do a reference on the match. Okay. That doesn't really bother anything, right? This is now a reference, so we dereference these. I'd rather do that than clone for no reason. There we go. Okay, so probably the nastiest piece of code that I was hesitant on doing, I think it's done now. Let's break this down because I just did a lot and it might have been hard to follow. So if the state is deactivated, now what this means, an alarm has been in a snoozed or an active state and then you hit deactivate. That means you want to basically say prime it again for whenever the next time it should activate, in a day, a week, whatever. So how do we do that? What does that mean? So what we want to do, we want to get a new target time. We essentially want to build out a new target time. And the new target time is based on the repeat cycle of the alarm. If the alarm does not repeat, then we change the state of the alarm to delete, and we're done. We just continue. What are we continuing from? We're actually still in this entire loop here where we're iterating through the alarms. So what that says, just go to the next alarm. We're done, right? For everything else, if the alarm repeats daily, we get the current target time and we snooze it for a day. Well, not snooze it, but we add a day to it. We add 24 hours to it. You know, I should just do days. I don't know why I did 24 hours. Days 1. If it's weekly, we add a week. If it's monthly, I didn't fix this. I'm glad I'm walking through it. So the question is, what is a month? Is it 4 weeks? Like, that's actually a little bit more obscure. I know how I can do it though. We can get the target times month and literally add a month to it, like get the month value and increment it. But I don't know what happens if you overflow past 12. Does it wrap around and increment the year? I'm not sure about that. So we'll say alarm target. See, this. I'm glad I stopped here. let me think about this. Let's go ahead and here we'll also we'll say hours. One. Yeah, it's hourly. So if it repeats monthly, I want to say alarm.target time. And I just want to get a local copy of it that I can modify. I want to say target time dot month dot, can we add month? Checked add signed. A duration, but we don't have the concept of a month. And see, months are complex because what does it mean to increase by a month? What is February? Like 28 days? But other months like August, what is August? 31 days. I think the idea is if you're on if your current day, like today is the 24th of August, you want it to be on the 24th of every month. So we simply want to increment the month by 1. So we'll say target time equal target time dot, where are my dots? This, I don't think it's going to let me modify it, is it? It's not a reference. So how do I modify that? We could do with month. We'll say with month. Returns none when the resulting value would be invalid. Okay, so this is gonna be goofy. Okay. Match target time dot month. What? How do we do this? Is it 1 dot dot no dot equal 11 dot dot equal 11, but it's going to complain because you can't do inclusive ranges, right? It's yeah. $12. Otherwise, panic. Because you shouldn't. There are no more than 12 months. You can't do that. You should not be here. Go home. Okay. We'll put the fat arrows because I'm being dumb and I missed them. Now, yeah, match target time month, whatever. We're cool with that. I don't really want to do anything here. Why is it complaining? Oh, because it thinks I'm returning something. That's why. Just return target time. We'll modify target time as needed. Okay, so we could do that. So month 1 through 11. I want to say target time dot with month target time dot month +1. That's easy. Now in this case, if we're in December, we're going to say month is 1. Target time dot with year as target time dot year +1. Why don't you have to be mutable? Makes a new value with the month number. Is it going to be mad? Oh, I need to do that. I know unwraps are bad. Just bear with me. Bear with me. I want to get the logic in place, then I can clean it up. This is definitely something you don't want unwraps here. Panic is kind of bad, but I think if you get to a state where somehow you got month 13 or 0 or anything, I mean, with month starts at 1. I know that I should not be getting I should not be getting anything other than 1 through 12. So yeah, if it's 1 through 11, we can add 1 safely. Otherwise, we have to increment the year, and the month resets down to 1. So that's it. Then we return the target time. And we're good to go. Can I do something? No, I can't do that. I swear I thought there was a way to like assign this to a variable. Oh wait, is it let? Do I still have to do let here? No. I thought there was a way to assign a variable to that where I don't have to keep getting the month over and over. Just grab it from the match. Maybe there is. I'll think about it at a later time. As for that, okay, let's start breaking this down again because I wanted to wrap up, but I found a bug there, so we're good on that. Granted, though, there could be some issues. Yeah, there could be some issues on some of this that I'll have to look into. I mean, what if you're adding a week and you go out of bounds? Right? What if you're in December and you add a week and you should be going to January? Does it do that properly? I have no idea. I mean, I would think adding a duration does. But since months are weird and we don't have an option to add a month. Let me double check one more time. Yeah, there's nothing I can do here that just says add a month and builds in the logic. So I think that's going to be the best I get for now. So okay, anyway, the whole point of this, backing up a bit now, is if we deactivate alarm, we want to update like when's the next time the alarm should happen. Well, if it's a no repeat alarm, just delete the alarm. Mark it as delete, continue on through the loop to the next alarm. Perfect, I'm happy with that. If it's a daily alarm, we add a day. If it's a weekly alarm, we add a week. If it's a monthly alarm, we do what I just did by saying, if it's January through November, just take the month and increment it by 1. If it's December, set the month to 1 and increment the year by 1. But we want to keep the day the same. I assume if you make a monthly thing, you want it to be on the same day every month. There is one caveat, however. What if the alarm is on the 31st of a month? What if the alarm is on the 31st of a month? That doesn't work for February, because there is no 31st day in February. So that's an actual, like, that's a gotcha. I will have to think of something to do with that, because that will, yeah, it returns none when the resulting value would be invalid. I'm going to leave this here for unwraps, because there's some stuff here. There's some problems here. We got to deal with it. Not today. but we got to deal with it. So yeah, months are weird. That's going to cause problems for sure. If it's an hourly alarm, we add an hour. That's easy. If it's on specific days, that's the other complex one. We basically get what today is, then we check against our set of valid days and see what the next day is. So if our alarm is on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday, and today is Tuesday, then the next day is Wednesday. Well, that's not in there. What about the next day? Nope. Friday, nope. Saturday is valid, so we'll set our alarm to, we'll add that many days to our alarm. So that's basically what I do here. If we repeat every X minutes, well, that's easy. We just add that many minutes to the current time. Same for seconds, same for hours, same for days. Those are really easy. We could do that for weeks as well, but I think I decided that if you do it, I don't know. No, you could do that with days. You could say every 14 days. I don't know. I might add weeks. It doesn't matter. The logic is all the same at that point. It would literally just be copy paste and change and make it say weeks. But there we are. That's all that. So every single one of these, I don't know if it's not actually returning, I guess, but this match, I'm going to use the word return. So this local now plus duration, this value gets fed back out of the match statement and assigned to the new target time here. And that's why these target times are all based on the current target time plus some duration, or if you're repeating every few minutes or something, it's based on, local now. Because, I'm guessing if you're doing that, again, I don't know if you want to do it from the target time. Maybe you do. Maybe I would want to change this to target time, but right now it's it's a question. It's a design question that's going to bother me until I really narrow down how I would want to use it. It may be something like if I build out a full program here and then someone's using it and they're like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't work like I want it to. Maybe. So anyway, that gets fed back into this new target time value. We set the alarm.target time with that value, and then we prime the alarm. And that's it, right? Right? Not right. There's one more thing that I want to do, and that is it? This here. So I'm going to extract this into a function. We're going to do refactor, extract into function, and the fun name is going to be save config. And it takes in an alarm config, a reference to our alarm config. And that's that. And I did that right now because if we do all that and we set the alarm state and all that, we have just modified an alarm. So we want to do save config. And we want to borrow it as immutable. It's, oh no, we're in a mutable borrow. Okay. This is actually better. Should update config equal true. I'm going to tell you why it's arguably better. It's arguably better because if you have to update, I mean, you would never reasonably do that. You're not going to have 16 alarms going off in a single iteration of the loop. You're not going to be dismissing 16 alarms in a single iteration of the loop. But it's arguably better because all we have to do here is say if should update config. Yeah, we could do that. So if we need to delete an alarm, We remove it from the config, we save the config. If we need to, I got a better idea too. Should save config. I thought I just should save config. I thought I just renamed it. Okay. So if we delete something, we just say, hey, we should save the config, boom. And then if we should save it, well, we save it. So we're only saving it in one place rather than two different places calling that. Which means I could actually remove the function now because I'm not going to be using it in multiple places, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, that was a lot. Is it an error or is that? It's something I removed. Okay. Cargo build. Is it happy? I did a lot. Yeah. Okay. So that's really it. I walked through deactivated. That took the longest. That was like almost an hour detour of me trying to wrap up the stream, but that's fine. That's how you know I enjoy doing this. Stopped. It's going to be similar to deactivated. We'll do that next time though. It's going to be very similar, but it's going to rely on that user input. So I'm going to be focusing on getting that UI ready so I can have user input driving this. That way I don't have to hard code in transitions. I mean, I could do that, but I think that's going to be really messy, hard coding in transitions just to force this to happen. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pleasant to work with. So getting a bit of a working UI that allows me to drive these state transitions and actually use this more as a proper program, that's going to be the next step. So my goal before the next stream, I want to do most of this on stream on video, but the UI is going to be a little different because UI is, again, not really my forte. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time before the next coding stream and I'm going to kind of build out a UI. I'm not going to actually integrate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build it out separately, or I might just build it out here, but I'm going to like copy the text over somewhere else. And I'm going to basically like build it out live here from what I designed between now and then. So instead of, me being terrible at UI and fighting with UI for an hour and a half trying to get things just right, or, trying to figure out how to get the layout the way I want it, I'll have a design already there. But instead of just being like, you go to like a coding tutorial and it's like, oh, this is how we're going to do this today. And then they just copy paste something in and they don't explain anything. No, I will type out the whole UI design here. I will actually run through it as I'm doing it. That way it's explained and understood rather than just like, let's just paste in 600 lines of a UI or, whatever, or of some like weird code or something, right? So that's going to be the goal. My next coding stream will be Monday, whatever day that is, the 30th or something, the 29th. So it's going to be Monday. So I should have plenty of time to work something out before then. And once I get that UI working, we'll have some variables and stuff tied into the code that I can use to actually like manipulate things. And I think it'll get a lot more interesting at that point. I'll also have to work out something on my setup here so I could easily switch views, but I mean I can do that, it's not hard, but I'll have to work something out on my setup to like switch views back and forth so we can see the UI as it's running. So yeah, that's it. I think that kind of goes through everything I did today. Got a lot of new logic here, got us a state machine basically sort of implemented. It's not entirely in place until I get that UI helping me drive it. Because it's really, I'll put it this way, it's really hard to have a state that can have, 2 or 3 transitions out of it. It's really hard to hard code that in a way that's very testable. I guess if you're doing actual unit tests, but who does, no, I'm joking. Unit tests are good. You should do unit tests. Um, but yeah, so once I get that UI, we'll really be moving forward. But I think it's in a good state. If we run it now, it's going to be goofy because we have a UI that blocks the main thread, and it's you can't see it right now, but it says "Hello Donkey," and then if I close it. If I close it, all the alarms are stopped, and one of them's snoozing for 10 seconds, and all kinds of weird stuff. All right, so that's going to be it. Total duration. I hate that log. That's not a good log anymore. But that's going to be it. So as I always say, thank you to anyone who tuned in today. I really appreciate it. I'm still new to these coding streams, but I have a lot of fun doing it. It's fun kind of putting yourself out there on the spot. No scripting or anything. Just like, let's architect. Let's just build this on the fly and see what happens. You got to work through the problems as they come. But I think it's really getting into an interesting place, and I can't wait to see how it continues to evolve. I've got so many to-dos. That's going to be like an entire stream in and of itself, is cleaning up the to-dos. But again, the idea is let's leave those there instead of going down too many rabbit holes. Let's try to focus in on one thing, and if I notice a little comment like, oh, to do that later, right? But yeah, thank you to anyone who tuned in. I will do another one of these on Monday, but if you do like this kind of content, hit that follow button. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this in the future on YouTube, congrats on being in the future. Go ahead and lick that like button, kick that subscribe button, and kneel on that notification bell, and go ahead and type in one of those comments too. That's always fun. I do read my comments. I will try to respond to them if they are substantive. So Mondays and Wednesdays, yeah, are coding streams. Every other day is gameplay. So I will be back tomorrow with Genshin Impact 3.0. I'm excited about that. Yesterday was Noita. I got a victory yesterday, so that's always fun. But if you're here for the coding, you probably care about Mondays and Wednesdays. All this does go up on YouTube, though, of course. So like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, do all that fun stuff. It's all free. Doesn't cost you a dime, only a little bit of your time. And yeah, I'm rambling. I'm tired. I got to go grab a shower because it's getting late. I don't want to do that right before bed. So yeah, until next time, have a good day, have a good night, whatever it is, wherever you're at. Take it easy.